Hello everybody. In this video we're going to talk about variables and expressions. This may be a little bit of a longer video, but I'll try to get through it as quickly as I can. Okay, now when we think about variables, we can think about containers. They contain values. Okay, they contain information. You know, just like a file contains a lot of individual papers or something like that, you know, it contains data. Okay, it contains a value, and that's what variables are. They're just storage containers for information that we need in our code. Okay, this is same as, you know, variables in algebra, you know, in any kind of math class that you've taken. Variables are variables. Now, the important thing to know is that variables have a lot of power, and they are a very large and very important part of JavaScript. You'll use them in just about everything you do in JavaScript. So it's good to get a firm grasp and understanding of variables, and to use them, you know, effectively, and you know, let them help you. So, with that being said, let's talk about how to write a variable in JavaScript. Well, when you first begin to create a variable, you start with the keyword, which is var. Okay, now keywords they're reserved words. They are, pardon me, they are words that can't be used for anything else. Okay, because the JavaScript language recognizes these words as what they are. Okay, they can't be altered. So, and that's what var is. Now, when we talk about keywords, okay, we talk about like naming a variable. Okay, because after you have told the browser that, yes, hey, I'm declaring a variable here, okay, gets the browser's attention and say, okay, this is a variable. We need to name that variable. Okay, and we need to follow some rules when we're making those variables. One is that you can't use a keyword. Okay, you can't use the word var, you can't use JavaScript, you can't use alert. Those are just a few. There's several. So the book will go into depth as to what those keyword and reserved words are. Okay, and I strongly recommend that you read those and learn those. I also will put a Quizlet out to assist you in that. With that being said, there's a few other rules for naming a variable. Okay, you can't use reserved words. Okay, variable names are case sensitive, so y is different than y. Okay, it's important to remember that. Okay, your names need to begin with a letter. They can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs, but they must contain, or they must start with a letter. Okay. There are some ifs to that, but for our purposes, our class, we will stick with the standard that variable names must start with a letter. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's start this. Let's call this variable. We're just going to stay simple. We're just going to call this x. Okay. Next thing we do is we assign it. Okay. We are going to assign this variable a value. That's what this equal signs represents. It represents an assignment operator. Okay. It does not mean equal. It's an assignment. It's not an equal to. Okay, so it's important to remember the difference there. Okay, now we're going to assign this value. Let's just give it a numeric value of, say, 25. Okay, so let's do this. So now let's go ahead and output this document.write. And we're going to say 25. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Let's put X. It's kind of defeating the purpose. Save that. And we're going to refresh our page. Bear with me while I get my browser window sized up here. Everything in the world seems to be working against me. Okay. There we go. Now, as you can see here, we outputted 25, which is exactly the value of X. Okay? So you might be thinking, what is the point of this? Why do we need to put X here when we could easily just put 25 in here? Okay? Well, I can understand that question on this level of, on this small of a scale. Okay? But when you start to build routines, build programs, and you have, for example, say you have 50 X's. Okay, you have 50 variables named X with this value in your code. Okay, what happens if suddenly your code needs to be altered and this value actually needs to be changed to 30? So instead of going through your code and finding each X and changing, and finding this value and changing it to 30, it's a lot easier just to have a variable named X and change it here. And then that will, cascade throughout your code and it will all update to this value. It's a lot easier to change it in one place than it is to go into 50 other spots in your code and find 25 to change to 30. So that kind of shows you a small glimpse as to the power that variables have and how they're your friends, and you should use them and get familiar with them and understand that they are building blocks to your code. Okay. So now let's give an example of a string variable. So we're going to again use our keyword var. And we're going to call this one name. Okay. And we're going to assign this the value of, and remember we're creating a string, so we need to have quotes. And we're going to call this one Sam. Okay. So let's do this. We're going to type in the variable name. And we're going to save. Bring our code back over here. We're going to refresh, and there you go. It's outputting Sam, as you can see. Okay. So one other thing I wanted to clarify is that when you create a string, you create, like if you are speaking, like I am speaking this to you now. Okay. So if I wanted to say Sam is 13 years old, then I could say Sam is 13 years old. Okay, and just because there's a number in here, it does not mean that that's our value. The whole string is our value. Okay, whereas here 30 is the whole value of X. So that is why 13 stays inside, because this is still part of this sentence. It's still part of our language, or what we're speaking. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. That's I wanted to clarify that from our previous video. But regardless, if I am speaking this to you, Sam is 13 years old, that is the value of name. That is different if I wanted to say X is equal to 30, or assigned the value of 30. Just because there's numbers doesn't mean that they are necessarily seen as the same thing by the browser. Okay, it's how we are assigning them, the data type that they are given. So yeah, that's a small brief explanation of that. So what can we do here? What can we do to take this up a notch? So let's look at this a little bit deeper. So let's talk about expressions a little bit. Okay? And so what is an expression? Well, expressions they're created to evaluate. Okay? And those evaluations then are turned into values, and we use those in our codes. Okay? So let's for example, let's do this. Let's have another script tag. Oh, it might help if I type this correctly. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's do a var, and we're going to say, let's go ahead and do y. And we're going to assign this a value of, say, 50. Okay? And then let's have var, we'll call this one z. And let's give this a value of 65. Okay? And then let's have another var. Bear with me one second here. And let's see. Let's give this the name of let's go ahead and do total. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to create an expression, okay? We're going to create something that evaluates, okay? And that is very simple or complex. But it could be simple as this number added to this number. Because remember, expressions evaluate. So we're going to evaluate, and we're going to get a value from that evaluation. Okay, so what that means is that we can take this and say y, we can say y plus z. Okay, and right there, bam, you've got an expression. Okay, now let's take that a little further. Let's see, but I need to I'm going to create a few variables here just for practice. Y minus tools. I hope that you can see where I'm going with this. Okay, so now let me grab this, and then I've got this here. Let's just paste this in here. Okay, so now what I have going on here, okay, is these are all expressions here. Okay, now I have everything has been declared a variable, and everything has been given a unique name. Okay, all right. I hope that everybody sees that and understands that. We have assigned everything a value. Y has a value of 50. Z has a value of 65. Okay, this total has a value of 50, or the Y has a value of Y's value plus Z's value. Okay, total underscore 2 has a value of Y's values minus Z's value. total 3 has a value of y's value multiplied by z's value. And total 4 has been assigned the value of y's value divided by z's value. Okay, so now with that being said, we're going to output each one of these variables with the document.write method. Okay, and as you can see, all the variable names are right here. And then this symbol right here in this instance refers to as concatenation, and we will get into that in a little while. But basically what that does is that combines two things together. It allows kind of a break in the code to allow for something different. I will get into that more. That was a poor explanation, and I apologize, but I will get into that more. And then basically what we're doing here is we're inserting some HTML, okay? And I encompass this in quotation marks for one reason. And let me just show you first, and then we'll get into an explanation here. Save this. Okay. All right. Now, as you can see, let's see if I can get this. Okay. As you can see, we have outputted everything. All of our math here is, these are all expressions, results, values. They're results from the evaluations of these expressions. Okay. So it's not, these are very, very simple expressions, but they are the foundation for what everything is built on. So they will be similar. I mean, you'll just build. It's just the same as algebra. You start with basic expressions, and then you build on that. You build on that, and you build on that. But when you break it down, it's always comes back to the foundation. It always comes back to individual expressions that are just combined with more expressions and more expressions and more expressions, which leads to more complex code. But the bottom line is that the foundation comes from simple expressions just like this. So it's important to remember. Now, the one thing I wanted to point out here is, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. So the reason I threw these break tags here was just so everything would be on its own line. It's a simple, quick way to do it. So, yeah, that's a quick rundown for variables and expressions. That's what that is. This is pretty much what your homework assignment is. But I would like to see different examples and different variables. I want it to show me that you can name them. You can come up with unique names and follow rules, and the naming rules and values. And yeah, good luck to you.